Welcome to Beginning Genealogy. The goal of this class is to help you get started on your path to uncovering your family's story. Getting started. Good genealogical research always begins with the present and then progresses back through the past, one generation at a time. So start with yourself and your immediate family, then push backwards. Limit your focus to one line initially. Collect names of family members and the dates and places of birth, marriage, and death. Document everything. Gather information from family members. Family interviews. Do it now. There are numerous benefits to beginning our family research with living family members. Interviews with family members, particularly older family members, give us an opportunity to better understand our ancestors, the lives they led, and the decisions they faced. These personal recollections can also introduce us to names, dates, and places to support our research. Plan ahead. Ask both factual questions and open-ended questions to encourage storytelling. Record your interviews if possible with audio or video for the future. And while you're there, go ahead and arrange and view photos and other treasures while you're there for the interview. Ask your interviewee to help identify unknown photos or artifacts from your own collection. Other good practices. Embrace the challenges. Inconsistent dates, places, and spellings occur often. Bumps in the road, also known as brick walls. Commit to good research practices. Start and stay organized. Family history forms, genealogy software programs. Limit your use of sticky notes and other little pieces of paper that can get lost or misplaced. And cite your sources. Record keeping basics. Names. Names. You'll want to list the first, middle name, and the last name in all capitals. List nicknames in quotes, and record women with their maiden names. For example, Ethel, Etta, Houghton, Pye. When listing both maiden and married names, place the woman's maiden name in parentheses. Also, commit to consistent record-keeping habits early in your genealogy journey. Record keeping, dates and places. Dates, day, month, year. So, for example, 12th October 1913. It avoids some confusion. American style dates would be 10/12/1913. European style dates would be 12/10/1913. Also, pay attention to geographic locations. Independence, Jackson, Missouri, or Munich, Bavaria, Germany. City, state, country. Family history forms. Forms can be invaluable tools for both organizing the information you collect and for exposing holes in your research findings which can indicate new avenues to pursue. One type would be a pedigree chart, also known as an ancestor chart and a generation chart. These records record the direct line of ancestry, so parents, their grandparents, etc. A family unit chart. These are records for one family. So you have the spouses and then their children, and then their children's spouses. A research log. This records your searches and results. So use these to keep track of published materials, websites, microform, etc. that you've used. Pedigree or generation charts, as shown on this slide. Guidelines we discussed for recording names, dates, and places are all found in action on this pedigree generation/ancestor chart. Pedigrees give us a place to record the birth, marriage, and death information for ourselves and in each generation before us, but they only capture information for our direct line ancestors such as our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, etc. Space is not provided for information on siblings or aunts and uncles on pedigree charts. This next chart, the family unit chart, is used for gathering birth, marriage, and death information for all members of one family. When completed, this form lists portions of 3 generations: spouses, their parents, and each of their children with their spouses, if any. And remember, the information we collect on brothers and sisters can often be used to work through brick walls in our research. Last but not least, you can avoid repeating your research by maintaining a research log like the one shown in this slide. Online resources update frequently, so we want to go back regularly to check for newly added content that might relate to our research. But aside from new additions, print resources do not refresh. Beginners, try to make a habit of documenting your searches so that you do not lose time repeating the exact same search and the exact same resource down the road. Before we leave the topic of organization, there's one more decision you might want to mull over as you begin the study of your family's history. How will you collect/store your research finds? Are you the type of person who works best with physical paper copies of your research? Or would you stay better organized by collecting the information you find digitally? Whether your initial decision leans towards traditional file folders, digital files, or a combination of the two, know that family historians frequently start off with one plan, then modify that plan as their research evolves and grows. There's truly something for every organizational style in today's genealogy. Family trees can be created on paper, online, or in specially designed software programs. Some genealogy software programs and web-based genealogy companies like Ancestry.com have a starter or trial editions that allow you to try out for a period of time before you commit to a purchase and paid subscription. Others, like FamilySearch.org, are always free. Before selecting a program or online genealogy company, determine how you'd like to use this service, then read the latest reviews to find the option that best matches your genealogical needs. Next step, extend your research. For reasons of privacy, the records of living people and those who have passed away in relatively recent years are often not available for online viewing. This absence of records is another good reason to begin your research with family interviews. But once you have secured all the information you can from family members, it is time to begin your research of online resources and published materials which might contain additional records of your ancestors. The U.S. Federal Census. While sometimes flawed, censuses are still a key primary source, original document, and one of the best places to start your research for genealogical records. Content varies with each census, but in general, the U.S. federal censuses are good sources to use for approximating dates and places of birth, family relationships, and occupations, as well as immigration information in more recent censuses. The 1950 census is available as of April 1st, 2022. Online census search tips. As discussed before, accept that census information often includes some inconsistencies, such as alternative spellings, differing ages, and birthplaces. Don't dismiss a search result just because the information does not exactly match your earlier research. Standardized spelling is a relatively modern convention. In the past, names were often spelled phonetically, or as the census taker/enumerator heard and recorded them. Be flexible. Always take time to view the original document. Make sure you add, save, print, record census search on your research log. And no luck finding your person? Get creative. The U.S. federal censuses are not the only records we want to locate when researching our family's story. They start at state, county, and local records. Other censuses, such as state and territorial, Indian, and federal non-population. Vital records, birth, marriage, and death. Legal records, deeds, wills, probate, and court documents. Online background information. FamilySearch.org, Research Wiki, is a great tool to use when you're trying to find further information to research a particular subject matter. The Red Book, American State, County, Town Sources, edited by Alice Eichholtz. This is another great resource to look into to see when states or counties started keeping records like birth and death. Newspapers and more. The right newspaper articles and obituaries can also fill in a lot of blanks in our research. Many local libraries and archives have microfilm newspaper collections, and some of these can be checked out to libraries in other parts of the country through interlibrary loan. Anyone can access the nearly 18 million searchable digitized newspapers pages spanning from years 1777 to 1963 on the Library of Congress's Chronicling America website. And many libraries, like the Midwest Genealogy Center, also offer their library customers access to searchable newspaper databases like Access, Newspaper Archive, and Newspapers.com Library Edition. Midwest Genealogy Center customers, remember to take advantage of the Kansas City Star and Times database, which contains issues of the Star and Times from 1880 to today. The research checklist displayed on the left of this slide is another form available in the Family Form section of the Midwest Genealogy Center homepage. This form can be used to track the movement of one ancestor through the various U.S. Census, while also serving as a sort of checklist, reminding us of other non-census records such as military, church, tax records, and others shown here. Where to look for records. Genealogy companies frequently update their records collections, adding newly acquired and just digitized records for our online research. Many records, however, are still only available offline at places like state and local libraries, archives, and at locations within our ancestors' communities, such as courthouses, churches, and local genealogical or historical societies. For example, anyone researching ancestors in the state of Missouri should look into the holdings of the State Historical Society of Missouri to see if any of their ever-growing collection of digitized Missouri newspapers and other historical collections relate to your research. As also shown on the slide above, Missouri Secretary of State's Missouri Digital Heritage is the access point for more than 9 million records from collections held by the Missouri State Archives, the Missouri State Library, and more. There are also many free online sources, such as the list on this slide. These are the more frequently visited genealogy websites. Share your information. Why? It allows you to connect with others researching the same line. There are many ways to share, such as message boards that are on RootsWeb and Ancestry.com, social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. You can create a website or a blog. Sometimes family reunions will bring information together, and also online community trees. When you're ready to take the next step, check out the free tutorial videos on the MGC website at midwestgenealogycenter.org, and they are accessible to anyone at any time. This has been Beginning Genealogy, brought to you by the Midwest Genealogy Center. Thank you for watching.